Hey there, Josh here, and welcome to a short hobbyist novitiate video. This time we're doing Painting Imperialis, where we paint up a Legimp model in the colours of one of the 18 legions or their solar counterparts. We're aiming for these videos to be beginner friendly, but hopefully introduce a few intermediate techniques along the way. In this video I'm going to be looking at the 13th Legion, the Ultramarines, so grab a hot drink and a biscuit and let's dig in. This is the last Loyalist Astartes scheme that we're going to have for a good while, so let's make sure it's the most mediocre of the bunch. I'm starting off here with McCrag Blue. As you can see from the M on the top of my pot, this is specifically matte McCrag Blue. If you want to follow this scheme exactly, you will have to break into his house and steal some of his paints. My plan for this one was to just go as classic heavy metal as possible, really. So I'm doing a base coat and then layer, and then I'm washing afterwards because it's an oil wash and I wanted to do it in that way, but the steps would be the same if it was the other way around. So getting this McCrag Blue over everything, not too carefully, just making sure it's relatively even. It's quite thin as well, so I'm doing a couple of coats across the entire model. I don't often paint in the sort of standard style. I sort of started out like that, as most people do, and then found other ways of doing things that I enjoy maybe slightly more and leave me with the result that I'm sort of more happy with. But I think it's important to try and go back to different painting styles from the past and see how you can do them. Now I'm coming around with Calgar Blue, which is the standard highlight for McCrag Blue, just going along every edge, trying to keep my brush as smooth as possible, just going around all of the edges to do that classic edge highlight. Some of these lines are a little bit thick or wobbly. I think that was the only thing on the scheme that I really didn't love was just the precision. I think if I were going to do this again, I would probably just do a light dry brush with the Calgar Blue. I think that works better at this scale of model. They're so small and fiddly that it's hard to get a brush in to all of those gaps and do all of that edge highlighting. Working my way around the rhino doors here, picking out the edges. I do think it's a nice look. I do feel the call to one day maybe paint some big scale ultramarines. I do really like them, actually. I know a lot of people think they're the most boring legion, but I think they look great. I love their lore. I think Guilliman's brilliant. I'm going to catch some flack now for all of this, but yeah, go the ultramarines. I think if I were going to do a 30k army, I'd be very, very tempted to make them Ultramarines. Coming around the doors here, trying to be as careful as I can, not get too much in the gaps, and just really outline the shapes of the doors. It's a little bit tricky, and maybe the brush I'm using is slightly too big for this. By this point, I've basically just settled for using my medium layer brush for almost everything, which I think is good practice to be using the biggest brush you can get away with. But maybe not for some of the detail work here. Maybe I should have swapped down to a smaller brush. Might have given me just a little bit more control. The other thing to remember with paint jobs like this is that when you look at them really, really closely like this blown up on a screen, you see a lot more of the imperfections than you would if it was just, you know, the model in your hand or on the tabletop a few feet away. I think they look really, really good, even if you have some of these slightly choppier lines like I've got here. I've really enjoyed making these painting videos, actually. We're probably going to have some traitors coming soon. Matt's getting around to doing some of his videos. I know I say that almost every time, but he is working on it. He's just got quite a lot on at the moment, so it's been harder for him to find time. But yeah, hopefully we'll have some of those soon, and then I'll also be making a start on some solar schemes, which I'm really excited about. The easy route with solar is to make them all that standard grey and then just a few different accent colours, but I want to try and push the boat out a little bit in different ways and do some slightly different things, so that will be coming fairly soon. Once I've done that, I'm coming in with Leadbelcher, and this is going over the ram, the tracks and the weapons on top. I didn't put it on the exhausts. I wanted to use a little bit of that gold that I mentioned earlier. I think Ultramarines have a bit of gold in there somewhere. Just looks really nice. But yeah, making sure that this is nice evenly coated over the ram and the tracks and the guns on the top. Yeah, as I was saying, I've really enjoyed making these videos. I'm from the modest views and likes and subscribes we seem to be getting. I'm really pleased with the growth we've made, and I hope you guys are really enjoying them too. If there's stuff you want to see, obviously people keep asking for traitor schemes. They are coming, but if there's other stuff you want to see as well, do let us know and we can try and build it into the schedule. We're normally trying to be about 6 months ahead with our filming versus the release of the videos, just so that when the busy periods happen, there's always something to come out. I think having that weekly release is really important, just for, yeah, making sure that there's stuff coming out. I really hope that if you found this channel and were new to Legions, you've found something to excite you to get into it. That's kind of our main aim here. Get people into Legions Imperialis. Yeah, as I mentioned, here's the Gehenna's gold coming in on the exhausts. By this point I've painted many Rhino exhausts and I sort of know what I'm doing. It's just a few nice, easy, gentle brush strokes. One little one on the top there. Yeah, after that I put the decals on. I love a white decal on a dark surface. They just look brilliant. Much more happy with these than the Blood Angels ones. The only thing I'd do different here is probably paint those viewports. Doing yet another Starship Filth wash. I know that we've done a few of these recently on the last few schemes, but it's, you know, it's a nice colour. It's just sort of a muddy grey that's quite dark, but a little bit more visually interesting than just a flat grey. I think it goes well over most colours, especially over the blue. I think it's one of the best ones here is on the Ultramarine scheme. It may have been slightly too thin. I think I could have gotten away with having a thicker wash or a second coat over some of the areas just to really grime it up and weather it down, but still really pleased with how this one turned out. I think it looks really nice. Just, yeah, here, making sure that I have a nice even coat, especially in all of the cracks and the recesses, around all of the shapes on the top there, just to give them that nice definition. A good wash goes a long way to helping that model feel like there's a bit more depth to it. And yeah, here we go, the finished result. I'm really pleased with this one actually. I do think there's a few bits, if I were going to push it to, you know, this is very much a tabletop standard as all of my scheme videos have been. I think if I were going to push them beyond that, there's a few things you could do to take it up to a sort of showcase standard. First of all, better edge highlighting or dry brush, and then just picking out all those extra details like the lamps on the front and the viewports and things like that. It'd be quite nice to try and do a higher level paint video, so if you're interested in that sort of thing, let us know. And until then, I will see you next time.